friends, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots.
I would eat those legs if I was like on an island and had to survive. I'd roast those, but I would rather die. Like, these are the most disgusting legs I've ever seen in my life.
You can find the Fort Worth Roots podcast online at fortworthroots.com. We're also on all your favorite streaming services. Just look for Fort Worth Roots. It's the same thing on social media. That's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And we also have a YouTube channel that has videos associated with most of these episodes. Check that out. Go to YouTube and just type in Fort Worth Roots. Shout out to our listener supporters. Angela Hauk has been a Patreon patron supporting the Fort Worth Roots podcast for many months. And just recently, we were notified of another supporter on our Patreon account. Ms. Stephanie Daniels is now a contributor. Thank you, Ms. Daniels. You can be a supporter of this show by going to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. That'll be in the show notes. Type in Fort Worth Roots in the search bar for Find Creator. And then it'll pop up, and you can support the show for as little as $4 a month. You'd not believe how much of a help this is working towards purchasing new equipment. Believe it or not, we've only been in the business for about 2.5 years, and our equipment is already starting to kind of show some age. So any support would be great. But yeah, for less than the cost of a Starbucks coffee, you can help us out, and it really does go a long ways. And aside from the good it'll do the show, we'll be shouting out your name, telling people all sorts of nice stuff about you, how much we appreciate you. And then in the future, we are, in the very near future, planning on doing some cool stuff. And all of our Patreon patrons are going to be receiving special entry VIP status into events that we're going to be putting on. This first event that we did out at Pouring Glory was a great success, and we want to do stuff like that all the time. And having supporters like you on the Fort Worth Roots Patreon page is going to help us do stuff like that. So that's what we're looking for. We want this to be a 100% listener-supported show, and we don't want to drone on about it. Help us out. $4 a month. Yeah, patreon.com. Just type in for Fort Worth Roots. Our guest today is the frontman for the Cut Throat Finches, a local Fort Worth band that is, by the way, awesome. And if you haven't heard about them, good, because I want to be the one that tells you about them. We have a really good recording, and at the very end of the recording, we've already got the Roadcaster turned off. I shut it down, and I look over, and there's our guest's guitar, and I go, wait a minute, you were supposed to play for us. And so we went ahead and we did that. It was perfect. We shot this at the downtown Cowtown at the ISIS Theater, and there was a one-man stage sitting up there in the VIP area where we recorded. And so he hopped up there, and after a few little technical glitches, we were able to get the thing rolling. And so he played live for us, played 2 songs for us live. And that'll be at the end of this episode. And then following that, we've got a couple of songs that he sent me and a couple of music videos that he sent me. So you can hear those at the end. First one is going to be a song that was recorded live at Mass called Bad Habit. Following that, we've got a track called 2 Stars, and then there's 2 music videos there at the very end. And the last video is the Cut Throat Finches jamming out one of my favorite CTF songs at the ISIS before the remodel. If you haven't been listening to the show, if you haven't been to the ISIS Theater, here's what's going on with that. This thing has a very long lineage here in Fort Worth, Texas. It's got a lot of history, but in 1988, that thing was shut down and left to ruin. And then in 2016, Jeff Smith and his wife got in there and started rebuilding that thing from a pretty miserable state. Anyway, while it was in that miserable state, Cut Throat Finches rolled in there and shot a video inside the theater when it was all dilapidated and stuff. It's really cool, and it's at the end of this episode. I hope you get to check it out on YouTube. And if you don't watch it through the Fort Worth Roots YouTube page, go check out CTF's YouTube channel, and it'll be on there. They've got a lot of really dope videos for you to check out. Very cool stuff. We have a couple of events and all of the information on our sponsors at the end of this show, but this episode is sponsored by the Roofing Solutions by Darren Hauk. Go to roofingsolutionshauk.com, or you can get them at 817-882-6520. This will be in the show notes. If you give them a call and tell them you heard about them on the Fort Worth Roots podcast, they will give you 50% off on a roofing tune-up. This is something your house needs. I don't know if anybody's ever talked to you about this, but this is something you need. One more time, that's Roofing Solutions by Darren Hauk, 817-882-6520, and it will be in the show notes. Folks, if this is your first time listening to the Fort Worth Roots, or if it's your 100th time listening to the Fort Worth Roots podcast, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and follow us on your favorite social media platform, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. All right, that's enough talking out of me. Please give it up for the front man for the Cut Throat Finches, Mr. Sean Russell, and let's start the show.
just the constant joking is hilarious between them. But you should definitely check that show out.
What's the name of it again?
Welcome to Wrexham.
Okay. Somebody was just telling me about it and how funny it was. And
Yeah.
I just haven't had a lot of time for television lately.
I don't either, but it's like when I get a couple hours Saturday morning, you know, on my old man o'clock at 7 in the morning, man, my voice sounds like a garbage dump.
You can hear it now. Are you up too loud?
No, I'm fine.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just realizing how much I've abused my voice at this point.
I mean, dude, after what you did or just yesterday,
Yeah.
and what you've got in store for you the rest of the weekend,
Yeah.
you're really pushing the limits.
I am. I'm definitely going beyond what my voice was designed to tolerate.
I think I got these mixed up. Now, which one did you just get?
That's the Duke.
What do you think?
I like it. It's
Good
really
call.
smooth. It is a good call.
So we started with Buffalo Trace, and now we're on Duke.
That's right. I mean, because it is 11, so we got to get on to the next one, right?
Well, you suggested some whiskey right up front, and I was like, well, it's Sean Russell. What are you going to do?
We're riding the tightrope.
It's a very well-rounded man. Obviously, he knows best. Let's go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Doctor's orders.
So Friday on the green, man, that was excellent. You guys killed last night. There were some technical difficulties right up front that quickly got resolved, but I was telling you before we hit record that I got to learn a lot about your bandmates from a distance, watching how they interacted with the sound guy.
Yeah. No, it definitely. It's, you know, when you have 4 bands and the type of production that was happening, and then they're switching out everything, different arrangements and everything like that, and on a mobile studio versus like a place like the Beautiful Isis here, we have everything labeled out and can keep things clean and neat, and musicians can't mess it up, you know, because I guarantee musicians are just unplugging stuff as soon as
they don't care. They're done.
And then the sound guys are left to clean up the shards of what's left. Our biggest fear, though, is honestly it is the sound splurge when they figure out, oh wait, this is the channel you're on, and then boom, all of a sudden, and that's what happened to my guitar. But luckily, no ears were damaged. So.
Yeah, was that right up front?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was right up front. It was like the last thing they were checking. All of a sudden, I was like, my guitar's not on, and all of a sudden they click. It's like, oh my god! And then everybody's like, whoa.
Damn.
Too much.
Well, I guess y'all fixed it quick enough that I didn't notice. So.
Yeah. That's the pro move. And I was singing along with the songs. I was trying to keep everybody happy. There's some good Fort Worth music playing in between. All people had seen it Friday on the Green or learned about it Friday on the Green for the most part. So.
Yeah. Well, it was an exciting turnout, and there wasn't hardly a square inch of grass available for people to put their blankets out. So.
Well, thank God it rained a couple weeks ago to make that grass strong enough, right?
Yeah, the grass strong enough, and maybe we're still receiving a little bit of benefit from the cooling effect of the rain, too, because it was nice yesterday.
It was.
As soon as the sun went down, you guys picked the best set, too. I mean, headlining, but 9 p.m., nice and cool, sun's down. It's perfect.
Man, you know, between the Weekly and the guys at near South, Megan and the group over there, that Megan Henderson, and then Michael Newquist, I got a call on Labor Day. That's how recently they booked it. And they're like, okay, are you available for this? We've got it together. And I was sitting there going, are you serious? It is 9 days until that show. And I got a show in Dallas already booked.
They gave you 9 days?
Yep, I was.
Damn.
So, but I was like, I'm taking it because I knew the weather was going to be awesome. Yeah. And I knew that it was going to be the first one. And everybody was so excited. I mean, it's such a great, I'm glad you got to be a part of it and not just hear about it, because I think once you're there, and you see the community. I mean, it is my biggest connection to the community. I mean, it is the seedbed of, you know, Fort Worth. I feel like community around music, and a big part of it, at least. You know, that and the arts goggle are huge. You know.
Yeah, that I was going to say, like, that area is very indicative of kind of the artistic change.
Yeah.
Or the barometer there here in Fort Worth. Right there near Southside. Yeah. And then that event right there, I guess I didn't know this, but it had been going on since 2007.
Yeah.
And so we lost that due to COVID.
Yep. The last victim to recover.
You know what? You said that last night, and I was going to bring this up too. Were you surprised by the lack of reaction you got from that? Because I was.
It was like telling a fart joke, and nobody was laughing.
I was clapping, and then I looked around, and I'm like, I'm the
only
one
very
clapping.
Small
that was me.
Like, is my microphone on? Checking 1, 2.
Yeah. I mean, you would think people would be kind of excited about this, but I think that even now, it's still kind of like a political... a decisive, polarizing thing to talk about. Like, congratulations, we're getting back to
screwed up even
living our
pandemic.
lives.
Yeah. No. Here's what I would say though, is regardless of the clapping, is that the best part about it is the turnout itself, because you know the things going on in in the community. Not to jump ahead, if you want to talk about, but like the things with masks, for instance.
Right.
One of the reasons it's shutting down is we've been waffling basically. We were building up, and finally we're profitable before pandemic hit. Then after it hit, it was like we tried different things. We were trying to serve these sandwiches that nobody wanted to eat, and did all the other crap everybody did to try to stay open. But it's just the patronage, and it makes me think as a musician, like, are people still, is this a part of their lives that they've just gotten used to not having, and they've found something else now? Mm-hmm. Or is music still what it was, in Fort Worth? And I mean, besides, again, country music here in the Stockyards, obviously, there's an undying support for that, as there should be. But like, for rock music and for other, things, it's like, is there still a culture here for that, or is everybody just moving here for the country music? I don't know, but seeing that event kind of is encouraging, for sure.
And you'd be the guy to ask. I mean, you've got your finger on the pulse. I think I saw somewhere you classified yourself as a mortgage professional. I don't know if I can bring that up, but
hell yeah.
So if you're in the housing industry, and you being Sean Russell, Cut Throat Finches, you would probably know best as far as what's going on with the Fort Worth community, where are we at with venues and housing, and I mean, what's your take on it? Where are we?
Well, housing is a problem. So what I do is I'm a mortgage loan officer for a family-owned bank out of Durant, Oklahoma, actually called First United Bank. So nice plug there.
Shout out.
I don't have to pay any sponsorship fees, right? Because I don't know if they'll cover it.
That's right.
Okay. But
they can't hit me up later, though.
They can follow up like, that's trademark. Sorry, buddy. No, but it's a family-owned bank, and I do a lot of construction loans. So a lot of people that have been building from Walsh Ranch west is the majority of what I do, and then I do a lot of remodels for people that are trying to fix up houses here. But there is a real problem here with businesses. Kind of what we were talking about before we started this. How do you get businesses here that we need? We've lost some businesses, in fact, out of Fort Worth that we need, like they make their corporate headquarters here. Mm-hmm. How do we convince them that we are not just a one-trick pony? Is that the expression? Actually, it's something close to that. I should know that. I'm in Texas, right? That sounds like I should know that.
It fits.
But it's like, do we just have this one thing we do? We're just the Stockyards or whatever.
Where the West begins, that whole deal.
Yeah, which is great. But are we just that, or are we a place that's a good place to grow your business and that has affordable housing, that has things that the city needs, or that a city needs to support a business that we would want to bring in here? And that's an issue. I mean, housing was up 15% from last year in cost. Rates have gone up. They probably will go down. Did you invite that gnat? It's trying to kill me.
No, but you made a good assessment last night, or your video said, hey, the mosquitoes have been real polite this year.
They have.
And they were polite out at Friday on the Green, so good call.
It's a super odd thing, but my wife usually is like just a magnet for all the mosquitoes that are in any given area.
Do you think it's the blood type? I hear that a lot.
I don't know what it is, but these new mosquitoes, they're larger, but they're nicer.
They're from Oklahoma.
They are.
They are.
And they're kind of got that Tulsa vibe they're putting off.
And something about the Red River, man. Once you cross it, the insects all get 3 times as big.
That's true. And they're Jurassic up there.
Terrifying. And the reason I was...
So that's my... let me plug this. I'll say this. If you want to support local music, let me do your mortgage. Let me strap you with some debt, get you into a mortgage loan, or help you build a house or remodel your house, and then I'll give you a free record. And then that's how you can support music.
And I got one of your records back here.
That's right.
That you gave me as soon as you walked in the door. Very generous. Mm-hmm. And did you say this was your first vinyl?
That was the last one we put out. We put it out in 2019. And so that's our third record.
Okay.
Fourth vinyl, we did a single on vinyl that if you guys catch us at shows, we have some left, thanks to the good people at Hand Drawn Records here in Texas.
Okay.
We pressed that vinyl. But that was what that was, when we put that out, it was the 50-year anniversary of the Apollo mission, Apollo 11, to the moon. So in event of moon disaster...
Grab that for the camera.
Okay.
You can keep talking. I can still hear you.
So what it was is, they of course, I was too idiotic to actually recognize that the 50-year was coming up when we found the speech. But it's a speech that was written for Nixon, literally for "in the event of moon disaster" is what the title of the speech was. That was a solid attempt.
Trying to figure it out.
You should have got if you would have got a double on the whiskey, it would have held it up. See. But "In Event of Moon Disaster" is really an amazing speech. It was written for Nixon to read in the event that the one untested piece of the lunar landing mission was the takeoff boosters from the moon. they hadn't been able to test it actually in space to know that it worked. Because
How
everything
would you
else,
know?
every other phase they were able to test before, but they were in this rush. They knew they were short of time and they needed to do it, so they did. But they weren't sure. Like, if they got stuck, that would have meant 30 days of knowing these astronauts are up there slowly dying off, you know, the best of the best, you know. So that's what the speech is written for. And if you listen to the record, when you get a chance to listen to it, the very last track is the speech being read over a kind of an instrumental track, and it's so epic. It's like, who writes like that anymore? Nobody. I mean, it's like, are we just dumb monkeys? Like, what's wrong with us? We can't write good stuff like that. I mean, that is just a magnanimous speech.
There's a whole set that I think Joe Rogan does, talking about like the kind of the de-evolution of speech.
I 100% believe
that.
that.
You read a letter from somebody in like the Civil War writing home to his wife or something,
and he's
versus
just
a soldier
guy.
today.
Yeah.
You know?
He's an enlisted guy with the equivalent of a third grade education. And he's like, writes like Shakespeare, and you're like, I don't even understand these words. And it's and it's, look at the script, and he's on the battlefield with a leg chopped off in Gettysburg,
dying
like, wow.
from gangrene.
Yeah, exactly. He's still more apt than I am to write.
I'm gonna dig that. I used to have it was called the Greatest Generation, Generation, and it was clips of like old radio broadcasts and things like that. I don't think I still have a copy of it, but it was incredible, and it's on par with what you're talking about.
Yeah. It just, you know, it was just that was a concept album. So that album takes you from ignition and liftoff to takeoff. And we actually, one of the songs is called Takeoff. It's 2 minutes 15 seconds, which was the time from when they said liftoff to when they got to outer space. So we wrote a song that fit exactly that long.
That's awesome.
So, you know, it was fun doing a concept album because I didn't have to dwell on such personal, dark secrets in my heart to find material. I can just make it up, you know, just imagine what it's like to be an astronaut, which is way more fun than, you know, dwelling on hurt feelings to write a good song. You know?
Right. Yeah,
so.
yeah. But your music's eclectic. I mean, there's a lot of emotion in there, and it sounds like you're telling stories in most of your songs.
Yeah.
So it's not all spaceships and rocket missions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the challenge too, to back out of it a little bit to make it more relatable and not so specific. You know, one of my favorite songs to play is called "Rabbits." I wrote it for my wife when I met her, and you know, it's so specific. Like, you know, she turns guitar strings into bracelets and bottle caps into collections, and, you know, broken hearts into brave love songs. You know, like those lyrics are very specific. You know, like to one person, and you know that when you hear it. And sometimes that's nice. Mm-hmm. But also, it's like you want people to relate. I think good songs, you know, like make people feel welcome and make them feel like they belong to it, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like if you can just sort of, you know, open the doors a little bit and widen the circle a little bit when you write, kind of back a little bit out of it.
Yeah.
Luke Wade actually taught me that, by the way, at the Magnolia Motor Lounge over some whiskeys. And I've kept it in my mind the whole time, was just, you need to back out a little bit sometimes from a song to make it, you know, so more people can have it, you know?
Yeah. Well, somebody else would have trouble using that as their love song to their wife.
Sure.
Because it's so specific, right?
Exactly. Like, unless there's like the alternative universe sort of theory happening, like in somewhere else there's someone exactly like my wife, Honey, and she has a rabbit named Charlie, and she can make guitar strings and all that, then, then I would be blown away. I'd like to meet them, and please contact me through Facebook, or my MySpace page is still up.
Yeah, y'all have got to get together.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all been married since, I wrote this down because I thought it was fascinating. Yeah, 2013, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Honey. And I met her at, make sure I don't mess up.
That's a real name, by the way, just to be clear.
Yeah.
That's a real name. I thought she was blowing me off when she told me her name was Honey. It's like, yeah, my name's Lexus. You know, what?
Your stage names?
Yeah, I thought.
Amplify 817 Day. I didn't want to call it the other thing because they changed their name right at the end of it. But that was the first time I got to meet Honey, and she's the nicest person I think I've ever met.
Well, thank you. I think so too. She's a sweetheart.
She was out there last night running around in the grass, right?
She was.
Up front, starting the mosh pit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That would be her place.
All right, so we should start the interview now.
Okay. Oh, has it started now?
Oh, yeah, we're 15 minutes in, but who's counting? I did a little bit of research on you. I like to come prepared for these.
I appreciate that.
Whenever you Google Sean Russell, however, the first thing you find is Canadian writer Sean Thomas Russell. I don't know if you're aware of that.
He's a sci-fi writer. Yes, I am aware. I haven't read his books yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a Canuck.
But I did, stroll through your social media stuff, and the first thing that caught my attention were these places that you've been to. And I did not know that you were prior service, but you listing off Camp Casey, Korea, Fort Benning, Georgia, and Fort Bragg, North Carolina, I said, he's probably an Army guy, and he's probably either aviation or infantry.
I was infantry.
Okay.
I was a grunt.
Nice.
Did a little time with airborne. Tried to go through the Green Beret thing in Special Forces and
selections.
Failed out of part. I made it through selections, but I started the course, and then when I failed that's how I had the awesome privilege of serving our country in the DMZ of Korea. So,
dude, if you made it through selections, congratulations.
I
did that. That's not an easy process.
That's just a couple of weeks. I think like the actual leadership qualities required to lead. Like I tell a funny story. There's this one part of that whole process that tells you how inept I was at that whole thing and how I really was not cut out for this work. It's like there's two things. That Krispy Kreme was not here when I left. When I left Texas, it is in North Carolina. Okay. So you could smell the Krispy Kreme donuts coming. I mean, from miles away. It's wafted up to the valley, and we're like starved up there. And it's January, and I'm freezing. There's two smells I'll never forget because I didn't even know what it was I was smelling until I had a Krispy Kreme. I was like, that's what I was I mean, I'm talking like dreaming about what could this be? What could this be? Had no idea what I was smelling. And then the other thing that was really funny is I kept smelling gummy bears. And I thought I was losing my mind because like, why would I smell gummy bears? I know it's in the MREs. There's nothing in there. It was the porta potties, the chili, we call them the chili trucks in the Army, the septic, dump tanks or whatever. But that blue juice they put in those.
It smells like gummy bears.
Smells like gummy bears. I finally realized I was like, I don't know if I want gummy bears now. Like, that's all I could think of now when I smell gummy bears is chili.
Well, at least you knew you weren't going crazy, right?
It was a relief to know that I hadn't lost my mind. So,
well, you don't need gummy bears anyway. That stuff's disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. Especially my keto diet, keep my girlish figure.
Are you on a keto diet? Is that the thing?
Kind of, just low sugar. And by the way, clearly, this isn't clear.
It's clearish.
Clearish. See, you can do this all day, but just you can't do the beer. The beer will cause the inflammation of the gut for Sean.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
I'm surprised you didn't find my name under Sean O'Brien Russell, the Irish terrorist.
Oh God,
he was a car bomber back in the day.
Okay,
and
any relation?
No, it's a total coincidence. My parents named me. Long story about how I even got that middle name. My family's German and Irish, so. But yeah, I started getting tagged in these posts because somebody at Trinity College, he was in the IRA, he's a hero. So shit, So they have statues of him at Trinity Hall, like here in Ireland. And I guess some anti-fascist protesters chopped his head off the statue and then painted some Nazi signs on it. And I got tagged. And I was like, "What? I didn't even know the history of it. Didn't know the history of the name at the time." But yeah, that's what comes up often. Or a very famous Irish Eels hurling player. He's really good at hurling.
Nice.
I don't even know how that works. Like rugby with sticks. I don't know.
Well, anytime you want to, switch identities and claim somebody else for street cred, you've got a few options.
Yeah, I got a couple places to hide. What's funny is your Tim Love. I've talked to Tim. I've never realized his voice is growing. I feel like my voice is Tim Love's voice today.
He does have like a deep, growly voice.
He does.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until I heard the podcast.
No, I don't think that he had played 2 gigs at full volume the night before that, but
yeah, with full dance moves.
Yeah, that was a big interview for me just because he's a busy dude, and for somebody like yourself or Tim Love or anybody else with a full plate, it's like, damn, they're giving me some of their time, and I really do appreciate that. I try to tell everybody, like, I know you didn't have to do this, so thank you.
Yeah. Well, there's an assumption of this sort of celebrity too, but hearing him talk about his past and everything, and his failures and everything like that, like, definitely gives you a different impression than what people that I hear, the rumor mill of assumption that is around him. But then when you hear what he's really about, and you're like, like where he's been from and what he's gone through, and knowing some of the things he's gone through.
Well, because now he's a human, right? He's not just a guy that owns a bunch of Fort Worth businesses.
Yeah, him chopping up furniture to keep his house warm is pretty humbling story.
Running a paper route at 12 and telling the owner of the paper, like, hey, we should do business differently because this is stupid.
I love that. That's great.
Episode 100, if anybody's wondering.
That's right. And Tim really is at his restaurants, like you said, by the way. I see him at Jamel every time I'm there at brunch on Sunday.
So before I knew who Tim Love was, I was over here at my favorite restaurant, Lonesome Dove. It's right across the street from where we're at today, by the way. We are at the downtown Cowtown at the Isis Theater, which has been revamped, revitalized, and rebuilt from the ashes. It's only been back in business for about 2 years, and they're putting on shows and movies and all sorts of performances here. And so if y'all haven't checked it out, come check it out. They got a full service bar and all sorts of cool stuff. Jeffrey will give you a tour. But anyway, I sat down at Lonesome Dove, and we're looking at this menu full of crazy stuff. I mean, I had kangaroo sliders, right? And I was like, is that even legal? Like, I didn't know you could get that.
Who's poaching kangaroos?
Right. So I'm like, well, I'm getting that, Gotta have it. So anyway, somebody comes out of the kitchen and puts the food down in front of us and tells us exactly what it was, exactly how it was prepared, what wine would pair best with each thing that we're about to eat, and which order we should eat it in, and just all this information. And I'm just like, me, in and out, taco casa, not really, not the connoisseur of food. I like to think I've grown a little bit since that day 3 or 4 years ago, but anyway, I'm pretty sure that the gentleman that set down the food and was telling us all this was Tim Love, but it's a foggy memory and I'm not sure. But I do remember like looking at this guy and seeing the look in his eye like, I'm wasting my time and I know it. Like, this is a dude that probably eats taco casa 4 times a week, and he was right.
It's like, this guy's palate cleanser is taco casa. So,
but he's in his restaurants, I guess 5-6 times a day, checking out different spots and just making sure everything's running smoothly.
I gained a lot of respect for him. I didn't really know anything about him other than my wife used to shoot for the Fort Worth magazine actually.
Okay.
And so we'd see a lot of the Top Chef events and everything like that. And Tim, of course, would be around in those things, in those circles, and was always really nice and really cordial. I mean, my wife taking pictures would have some people that are celebrities, so-called, around here that are way less celebrity than Tim Love and were way less cordial or nice.
Right.
So, anyways, that's a good way to gauge. There's a Will Ferrell quote that says, like, well, it talks about the internet. It's like, before you date somebody, you should let them work on a computer with dial-up internet, just to see how they react to stuff, But
that'd be a good
I feel like that's how photography is. Whenever she's like, "What's your name?" Blah blah, and then they don't have the time for her, and then Tim Love's like super nice, and anyways.
Yeah. Well, it's been funny to hear. Like,
I'm trying to earn a free cheeseburger or a steak or something from Tim Love. I mean, it was a take.
Hey, chef, hook Sean up. He's got plenty of places to gig too. Do you still gig at places like that, restaurants and whatnot?
I don't, for the most part, and my thing is, like I said, I have a day job, so I don't want to say this in any way that's cutting to other musicians who do this, because the sad reality is, like, I don't want to do it if I don't want to be the background noise for a restaurant or the backdrop. I mean, honestly, like, some of those deals, some of the time I feel like they would rather just hear. I mean, I could put on my Spotify and just kind of sit here with my guitar, and they'd be actually happier. And they just want to hear what they want to hear, and or what the songs they know. And I just try to avoid those type of places, but I'm not at all putting down that thing, because I've also done those kind of gigs, and they are a lot of fun. Like when you're doing a tribute to a band or somebody like that. But I want to do original music, and I want to play it for people that are looking for something original and that was made and created here, rather than, or something that I created rather than something I'm emulating. There's songs that I think I do a great cover of that I have an interesting twist on, and I would never want to record them, because I wouldn't want that to be the reason that everybody knows my band. So every time I play a show, it's like my big ending song is this cover of U2 or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't want that to be your thing.
Not taking shots at all for anybody. I'm just saying, for me, like, I'd rather keep my day job and work it until the day I die, and support my family that way, than have to pander in that. Like, it's like music is the one thing, and art is the one thing I do not have to pander to anybody if I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've done that, because, but to do that, it requires all of us to have day jobs. Because the business is garbage. The music business is garbage, and run by idiots. I mean, honestly,
and you're not talking out of turn, because there's been dozens of musicians that have been on the Fort Worth Roots podcast, and they've echoed what you're saying. Going and playing at a restaurant, 9 times out of 10 is just paid practice. They're sitting back there jamming. Nobody's really listening to what they're doing. Sometimes it's you might have an audience that's actually paying attention, but many times it's just paid practice. You are kind of background noise.
Yeah.
So Yeah, not talking out of turn, because that's the sentiment that I'm getting from everybody else.
And by the way, the woodshed is not like that. So not to draw any correlation, because the woodshed, people do sit outside intentionally to listen to music.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's not the same everywhere either.
No,
you know?
No, for sure.
But you know, I think it's just like I said, I really want to make my own mark in music, whatever it is, however small it is. I just want to know that it was what I created, not something I emulated necessarily. And that's hard enough, because every song I write, we, you know, give it time, and somebody would be like, oh yeah, that was a Michael Penn song from 1987 you heard, or whatever. You know, it's like, you're probably right. Holy shit, didn't even realize it. You know, like, or whatever. Like, I'll write in a song, and somebody's like, oh yeah, that's a band called Television, Marquee Moon. It's like, God, man, thought I came up with something.
Yeah. Well, and you try to give comedians and musicians a little bit of grace, because, you know, we've been trying to perfect comedy and music for a very long time.
Yeah.
And as a fan of music, or as a fan of comedy, you've heard all the greats. So your music sometimes might take a turn towards something you've heard before.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're copying it, but it might be heavily inspired by that.
I don't mind familiarity. I mean, I don't mind giving credence. I mean, we did a song on our second album called "God on Our Side," and it was a take on an old Dylan song called "God on Your Side," basically. But it starts off with this idea: my name ain't it don't mean nothing. My age ain't nothing. My name, it means less. The town that I come from, they call the Midwest. So I changed that kind of, and I made it into a whole song, and it's basically just talking about this irony of this idea of God being on our side, right? I wanted to somehow write it so that it, like, people knew it was tied to it, but not too close to where I'd get sued by whoever would sue us, because it won't be Bob Dylan that ever hears the damn song. It'll be his lawyers who have found a way to make another $1,000 off of me if I make $1,000 on Spotify, you know. Yeah. But I mean, you know, it was, so I like to intentionally give a familiarity to something to people, so I mean, make it relatable, you know, in that way. I mean, there are bands that's like, I hear a song and I think, I want to write a song that feels like that, you know, that just makes people feel the way I feel when I hear that song. I think I write that more than that feeling is what I chase most in songwriting, more than a style of a particular style of music or something. You know, I don't even know what. Sometimes I have trouble categorizing what it sounds like. And musicians, the guy in the band is always the worst one to ask. What do you compare music to? And also musicians are the worst one to be like, what song should I put on the radio off this album? Because they'll tell you the one with the 17-minute guitar solo is the bomb. Yeah. They're never right. But you know, it's like I said, I want to create something that's my own. That's all. Yeah. I would just rather that to me seems like the most noble calling if you're going to make art and music, is to at least be left with that, even if, you know, you die poor and hungry. You know, luckily I got a day job though. That's where I'm unwilling to go. I'm not willing to die poor and hungry, but I still want to make music that matters.
It's a double-edged sword, man. Because you know, the musicians that are out there grinding, and there's different styles of music, and some of it, the gig stuff that you're doing just to put some bread on the table, might be a little more, you know, paid practice, whereas stuff like what you're doing on a regular basis is making art. And so a musician can do both, but there's probably a line between the two, you know, going out there and grinding out 2 sets at 2 different locations every day and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, you know, T-Bone Burnett, one time there was a speech right in 2019 that he gave at the Visitors Bureau, the annual, they had an annual conference. I don't think they've done it again. That's where I actually met the people from Amplify 817, which is an amazing organization tied to the Fort Worth Library. And what other city pays their musicians to give a chance to make their own Spotify, but you make 100 times more than I could possibly make on Spotify from our city promoting our music. So that's where I met them. They invited me to sit at their table, at the library table, hear this amazing, you know, speech and kind of see what's happening with the city. And again, this is 2019. I remember T-Bone Burnett saying, great speech, kind of an anti-technology speech in a way. And he said, I didn't become a musician so I could learn how to do marketing. But that is a majority of what musicians do now. It's like you're doing 10% of what you want to do, which is playing music, and 90% marketing, you know? I mean, if you want to be successful, it's all marketing. It's like if you're not on TikTok. I hate TikTok. I know it's a thing. You got to do it, but it's just... I mean, my friends are making fun of me because I'm on TikTok, as they should. I would make fun of them. I would do the same thing to them.
I saw a post that said the world must be coming to an end because Sean Russell has a TikTok account.
True, exactly. One of my high school friends, he's like, my God, what has happened to us? You know, like that's what it feels like. He'll be on it eventually. You know, but you know, I would also say on the flip side of that to T-Bone, who's from Fort Worth, Texas, in case y'all didn't know, and writes amazing music and produces it and is in the, how would you call it, the aristocracy of the music business now. Here's what I'd say, and kind of like now thinking at it over time. The reason the music business is what it is now is because you and your friends have allowed it to be sold off to Silicon Valley. So you think it sucks, you know, and you want to give speeches like that. I think that's great. I believe wholeheartedly, but do something about it. Convince your buddies in the record industry to pull out of these digital streaming services that won't pay musicians for crap. I mean, great example. Fleetwood Mac Dreams just hit 1 billion plays. And you're like, wow, 1 billion plays. Well, after their label deals, they'd be lucky to have made $300,000 off of 1 billion plays. Yeah. 1 billion plays. That doesn't even pay the tax bill on their houses for the last 15 years they've been on Spotify. So yeah, please buy merch. Please buy our records, because if you don't buy our records and T-shirts, see, I got my Phantom Mellow shirt on right here.
Check it out.
Yeah, see, I buy this shit. I don't ask them to give it to me for free, and that's because I know that's it. Because it ain't gonna be Spotify that saves these people or gives them health care.
And can people find your merch at cutthroatfinches.com?
Yes, they can.
It's available there. You were throwing out tons of free swag from the stage last night.
It was I don't know why I keep ordering so many extra small shirts. Like, I don't know any extra small people.
Well, it was so funny, and we're sitting probably a good 60 feet back from the stage. We're kind of middle of that first group.
Oh man,
and
I know what you're about to say.
There was a woman that fought a child for a extra small shirt. Is that what you thought I was going to say?
No, I thought you were going to tell the story that I heard several times last night of me hitting a baby in the face with his shirt.
Oh, shit. No.
I'm not laughing.
Did that happen?
Can you edit out the laughing?
Yeah. I won't, but I could.
A gentleman would.
So, okay. Yes. So you're throwing shirts out, and I think you did this because you want it to kind of seem random. You don't want people to think that you're trying to pick out your friends in the crowd or something. Not that you could see anybody anyway because of the lights.
Yeah.
But you would turn towards the back of the stage and you're chunking these things over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Is that why you do that?
Well, it also helps the shoulder. It keeps you from hurting your shoulder.
Okay, yeah, because you're throwing back.
Usually your tricep, you rotate, like.
And you got some good range out there.
Did I really? Yeah. Apparently I hit the baby in the face solid. I might have left a mark. Yeah.
Okay, whose baby is this? What are they doing?
Okay, I should whoever's baby that was, I will send you all of our records. If you just don't post any pictures, if there was any bruising from Cut Throat Finches t-shirts hitting the baby in the face.
I'm just saying, if I've got the most priceless possession in the world in my arms, and a musician starts chunking t-shirts out, and I'm in front of the stage, I might turn. Yeah. I might protect the priceless possession. I don't know.
I'm not judging. I don't know how it happened.
I'm not judging
either. I was throwing blindly into the light.
I'm just saying it's not your fault.
I didn't even know if anyone was out there, honestly. I was just throwing them out there. So there was definitely no targeting in practice. That wasn't like, a cruise missile strike.
You and Taylor had also mentioned 3 times during the performance that you couldn't see anybody.
That's true.
Because the lights were so bright.
They were bright. And then when they started blinking, I thought for a second, well, after I was sure I wouldn't have a seizure, I started thinking, like, is this safe for people with that have that, the thing we usually get a warning? Now even on Netflix, you get a warning, like, hey, there's flashing lights in this. Just so you watch this. And I was thinking, did we give any warning? Like, I mean, this might look cool. And then I thought, did the lights just go out? Because in the old days of Friday on the Green, Dre Edmondson's an amazing sound guy, but the power system that he had with certain bands, like I remember Calhoun up there playing, it's like they were just rocking out and their amps were just sucking all the power out, and it just kind of
took it all down.
The Death Star power down sound, So yeah, I was thinking like, oh man, did we blow it up? I was actually kind of proud if we did blow it up. But
that would be a mark of achievement. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't. It's like breaking a backboard in basketball. We slam dunk so hard. I was like, did we just melt down the power? But it wasn't. It was just playing with the lights.
So, folks, Sean does care about your health and your safety. You can hear his concern about the epilepsy thing, and that was the first thing he thought of.
First thing.
He was not out there trying to murk babies with T-shirts.
That's true.
What a terrible thing to hear.
Glad we cleared that part of my record.
So anyway, I did not know that happened, but what was the point of that? I have no idea. But
throwing merch wildly and giving it away, the extra smalls.
Yeah.
It was all the extra smalls. I wanted the kids to be encouraged to come up, and we are doing a thing. I will plug. It's with Fort Worth or the Academy, or Fort Worth Academy of Music. Sorry, the kids in that are learning guitar. One of them was up there in the front.
Okay.
She's doing a song with. So she had.
I think I saw you talking.
She came up and So she was like, "I'm doing Goodbye Letter with you," which is on that album.
Nice.
And which is super sweet. And I think what's great is there's a lot of kids that grow up learning music. And what Eric and Rowdy and some of the guys that teach over there at the Academy are doing is they're trying to connect them with writers and creators, rather than just teaching them how to do Aerosmith and the Beatles or whatever, Yeah. It's like for all the time and money that parents spend putting their kids in lessons and everything like that, and the time and you're sitting there in the recitals and watching them painfully go through Back in Black or whatever song they're doing.
Right.
Well, I there's value in it, but like how much more value is it when your kid learns to express themselves through that? And they're not learning that. They're learning imitation. Yeah. And on a more deeper psychological level, like for people that are creative people that want to express themselves in music, to be like, okay, now go imitate this. Mm-hmm. It's counterproductive.
Take something away.
So I love that Eric and his team is doing this so that kids think, like, hopefully kind of have this idea that at some level that the creative part is the most kind of sacred part of the whole process of art.
Well, do you think School of Rock and schools that are geared towards teaching young musicians, whenever you're teaching a class in front of a group, you got to find a way to streamline it so that there's like a general line where everybody can kind of learn from, because you can't do the individual thing. Do you think that probably on the creative side, it might be more advantageous for a young musician to learn one-on-one with a mentor, rather than, this is not the right way to put this, but like a puppy mill musician system, just pumping out units.
I think a balance. It's like if I was teaching a school, I would want them to learn by imitation, so they'd learn the skills, which is just the part of your brain that is like, right brain, left brain, right? So they're learning, but they're not getting the left brain experience if they're not writing and they're not creating. Or given some improv, even if it's just to give them an improv section, instead of imitating the exact solo that was in, Limelight by Rush, let the kid do what teach him to create something in there, Not that he's going to beat out what was there and it's going to be disappointing for everybody, but his parents will be happy, Yeah. But still, I mean, it's balancing left brain, right. It's just ironic to me that most schools, I didn't realize it until Eric and the Fort Worth Academy actually approached me, that it's like, why aren't other people doing, all these people that teach music, they're not connecting people with the writers in this town that are willing, and that there's opportunities to meet with them and work with them. Yeah. This is a great way. So these kids will basically do, on December 3rd, we're going to have a show. There will be the kids rotating in with us, playing different parts, singing, and sometimes playing drums. I know. And
where is this going to be at?
Well, it was going to be at Mass, so we are looking for a location. Edit right there, just cut.
We know everybody's upset. At the very next day, I sat down and did a recording after I found out about it. So I've been talking about it since the day after it was announced. Yeah. But
so we're going to do it. We don't have a location yet, so I'll make sure I pass that along for sure.
Would this be a good venue?
It might be. Sound wise, heck yeah, this is great sound in here. The Isis has amazing sound,
and they've actually upgraded it just recently. So it was great. It's excellent now.
I know a guy that is his name is Victor Trevino. He does Elvis impersonation, and it is so spot on that when I watched the Elvis movie recently, I was like, this guy's imitating you, imitating Elvis. These are even the way he holds the mic is so perfect. Yeah. But he does a show here pretty often, and it's amazing. It's so well done, and the sound is so good. And Vic does a good job too of kind of explaining a little bit about Elvis. He doesn't stay in character 24 hours, the whole set. Right. He kind of goes in. He's like, when Elvis did this is what it was going on, and this is the label he was on, and he was transiting, and this is the background and who he said he was inspired by. It's really cool.
That's the most
do that here.
That's the most important part of any kind of history lesson is knowing what the peripherals are, right? Yeah. So to understand what Elvis was going through in a certain moment, you need to understand what happened last week and what was going on in his head at the moment. That's important. Yeah.
It is.
I like this venue. I heard that you shot a music video here.
We did.
Tell me about that.
So we saw on the Fort Worth Weekly posted a story about the ISIS Theater and what it was, which I've been down here for quarter beer night at PRs more times than I'd care to, account for.
Quarter beer, God bless. Is that still a thing?
It's been 6 months because they've now raised it to 50 cents. Inflation's been a
bastards.
So, it was like this stage up here, or this whole setup and everything. I mean, the curtains are just like in pieces, like the original curtains. I mean, the original theater, you could see the parts of it that were so amazing, but it sat for maybe 30 years at the time, I think. So it was dangerous to the level that he had to have a sign of waivers because like parts of the ceiling might cave in. There has been a rain recently. There was birds flying through the ceiling, kind of dipping down into the sunlight. It was very
perfect for the video,
Mad
right?
Max moment kind of, but but it's still even then this vibrant color and history and everything like that was left in here was an amazing backdrop for a video. It really was. And there was, again, the history of what was here and the ghosts and just everything that they discovered and that they were doing. And I'll be honest, in my mind, if I'm being honest, I never thought he'd get this thing figured out. We found him right after after he had kind of he was just like searching for funds. Yeah. And when he told me how much he needed and what he needed to get this done, I thought he was the craziest person I ever met. I was like, this guy's Haltom City, or high school rather, theater teacher. Right. So I'm guessing he doesn't have $1 billion or whatever, and he's got to fundraise how much money, and who are you getting to do this? And it looks amazing. It's such an amazing, respectful restoration of what was great about this place, and even where we're sitting, like this bar and the history of it and everything, like it is. I mean, all credits, like. But I thought I was sitting across maybe the craziest man in Fort Worth.
Yeah. Well, and if you come to downtown Cowtown at the ISIS Theater, off of Main Street, almost right on Main and Exchange. If you've been down here, you know where it's at. You can't miss it. But you can come inside and you can see some of the pictures before the renovation took place. And like Sean's describing, it was just an absolute disaster. The holes in the roofs and I mean, this building is steel and concrete, and for there to be holes in that, that is substantial structural damage.
Yeah.
And you got to sign a waiver to walk around in a room like that.
Where we were right over here, part of our video, you can see there's a blown out wall, just like shards of a wall and a hole in the ceiling. The bass player climbed up here. We handed him his bass for him to play on, basically like a blown. I mean, it looked like what you see of like Syrian war footage.
Yeah.
It looked like someone dropped a bomb in here. And he's standing up on that and he's playing bass up there. It's like, again, probably not a great idea. But again, the band does not offer health insurance. Right. For a fall.
This is a big ask, and you might not have access to it, but do you have a file that I could pair up with this recording?
Yeah, you bet. I'll send it to you.
That would be so sick.
Yeah.
I'm a big supporter of this theater. All the downtown buildings that are just falling apart, like my heart hurts when I see them. I wish somebody would do something to save the buildings, but some of them are just old warehouses, and who cares anyway, and you're never going to get anybody to fund something like that.
Sure.
But something like this, kind of a mecca of creativity, an old theater, that's one that you should save. So, but if it wasn't for Jeffrey Smith, the madman, the Haltom history teacher, is that what history?
Or no, he was a theater teacher. And that's how I found him, because I posted on Facebook. Who is this guy? Does anybody know Jeffrey Smith? I don't know which Jeffrey Smith on Facebook. It's a common name enough to where there's 100,000 of them. And then of course Blake from the Royal Sons, Blake Parrish, is like, oh yeah, he was my theater teacher. Here's his number.
That's so cool.
It's like, why do you have your theater teacher's number or whatever? But he found it right away, and it was just like, well, that was easy. And then I found Jeff. He's like, okay, we can meet, but I got to tell you, it's dangerous in there. Yeah. Could be asbestos falling through the ceiling. But I do think it's a testament to when you have, it's a testament to being a visionary, and to having a vision for something, and then that contagiousness that it can have, because, putting this together I think it's a miracle.
Monumental. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to be something that's going to last, long beyond his life, like our lives. This place is amazing.
He put another 60 years of life into this building, even if he stopped with everything he's doing now.
Yeah, if the ghost doesn't kill us all.
Apparently it's a friendly ghost.
Oh, that's
Did you know that there, and I don't know if I'm getting the name of the show right, but it was like Ghost Hunters or something came out here and did like a full episode?
They sure did.
I'll try to put a tag for this episode. Sean's looking around like, where's that ghost?
I am just looking for any flickering lights or kind of I just felt a little cold right there. You know, was that me or did you feel that?
No.
I'm the whiskey.
I'm a moon to it, yeah.
Gotcha.
So did you, during your military days, I know you spent some time in Korea, did you ever end up in the Middle East at all?
Very briefly in Saudi Arabia, or like in Bahrain, just in '94, but not in any actual conflict. By the time we got there, it had already been resolved. We flew over and got some Bradleys off the Kitty Hawk that had been floating since the first Desert Storm, and cleaned them up and started driving them, and then we're like, okay, it's all done.
Covered in salty corrosion. That's a task.
Mainly it was spray and wash duty is what the mission was about. So. Yeah, it was. But yeah, my brother, on the other hand, was an airborne ranger, and he got in shortly after me, and he basically didn't miss a conflict. So he was involved in every conflict ever since then.
So the Russells are well represented.
They are well represented in the military for sure.
Well, the reason I bring it up, I was in the military for 12 years, and I did 2 little non-fun tours over there. And if you're standing on sand that has had nothing but bloody conflict since the beginning of time, versus here at the ISIS Theater, I think the chances of seeing a ghost are going to be better in the sands in the Middle East. So on that idea,
how many people could have been killed here? A dozen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Tops.
So
well, I mean, if you look back in the history, there might have been.
That's true. Wild West days here.
Yeah, could have been right next to Hell's Half Acre.
Yeah, Bill the Kid did cruise through here a couple times.
But anyway, so that's my. When ghost stories start popping up, I'm like, I've been to places where if there were ghosts, I'd have seen a dozen of them.
Yeah, that is very true. That is
you
very
too,
true.
since you'd been over there in the sandbox too.
Yep, the sandbox. That's a nice way of putting it. Cheers to the sandbox.
Let me get You're empty. You want some?
There you go. Sharing is caring, like I always say on Facebook.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you again for doing this.
Of course, man.
We did a very ADHD fueled loop around every one of my questions except for the band, Cut Throat Finches. How long have you guys been playing together? Are those the original bandmates? Where did it all start?
Well, the long history version, in a short way of putting it, is the Pipes brothers, Todd and Toby Pipes from Deep Blue Something, had a studio. They're the guys who sang Breakfast at Tiffany's.
No shit.
They had a studio, and at the time they were recording Flickerstick.
Okay.
And they were recording Hi-Fi Drowning, and Drowning Pool was also. Drowning Pool was recording at the time. All at that studio. They had just kind of come off a long tour, and so I literally met all the people that Taylor Young, who's with the O's and Taylor Young Band, and a lot of Polyphonic Spree and a lot of other things. Taylor Tatch, of course, who's produced tons of albums here. I met him. He was just getting out of North Texas at the time.
And where's the studio at?
His studio's down in Fredericksburg. He's been working on. So he's going to build out one.
Is this the one you're talking about? Where you met everybody?
No. This studio was in. Originally, it was BPL, Bass Propulsion Laboratories.
Nice.
They got a lot of calls for the Bass Pro Shop, unfortunately, back in the day. But
all out of lures. Call back next year.
Yeah. Oh, he had a good time with that call when it came. But I met, it was down in the Hickory Street Annex near the fairgrounds, like off 2nd Avenue down in kind of Deep Ellum, south of the Double Wide, basically. Yeah. That was the original studio, and then they moved a couple times, but BPL kind of became a hub where, like I said, all my musical friends, I met Calhoun through there, the guys in that band, one of my absolute favorite bands. Like I said, met Taylor Tatch, and then through Taylor, met Eric Webb, who was at the time working with Brandon from Flickerstick in a band called Jet and the Ghost Tree. And then Rob Payne, my bass player now, was not the original bass player. On the very first album is basically when I formed, as I was releasing it, I formed the actual band. The people I had in at that time, I was doing a lot of covers and playing breweries and doing a lot of this stuff. I didn't want to play more shows to more people that really didn't care, what I was doing or weren't paying attention. Like I said, I would just made that decision. I didn't want to be the human jukebox, basically, So But you know, those guys had different things. I mean, nothing. They were great to play with, but the guys that formed what I would consider to be the real band, you know, Rob was in a band called Cozy Hawk, so I respected a lot out of Denton. And then my niece Drea was moving up from Austin about the same time. Again, I was releasing that first record.
Is Drea on drums?
Yeah, Drea's on drums. So she's
killed,
my niece.
man. She's awesome.
Yeah, so Honey is the youngest of 5 sisters, and then Drea is, you know, obviously, I think she's the youngest in the band, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, kind of making it. And then my daughter does play with us, Maddie Russell.
Yeah.
Now, she grew up in the School of Rock system, and it was great for her, because she did meet a community, including Max and some of the guys who played the 100.
Yep.
The Gray.
The Gray.
Yep. So met some great musicians there. She's at Berklee College of Music now up in Boston. So I can't discredit the program either. But it's like, but what Maddie loved was writing, you know, and like getting to write, and she got to write and kind of create some parts in a lot of the recordings we have.
She has her own band, Retrophonics 88.
Retrograde 88.
Retrograde, excuse me.
I'm actually flying up to see her Monday night. She has a big label, you know, presentation kind of thing for her band. Yeah, it's like they don't even have an album. They just approved their masters and are already meeting in front of A&R people and label people.
Cool.
And I was like, man, what a fast track. Like, I've been busting my ass out here. I sweat my ass off and make my voice sound like a garbage dump. It's been described as a thirsty angel or a glass shards scraping on a roof shingle kind of vibe, you know, like, so, and she's already meeting in front of label people, but I'm excited. You know, it's like, you know, watching your kid, watching her learn to create is what I kept pushing her towards it, but it was kind of like that bravery. And when you're writing a song, it feels like walking into a room naked with these musicians. I mean, it's just like it's such a vulnerable position. I don't have anything else in my life that probably makes me feel more vulnerable than that. But once you get with a band that's comfortable, everybody understands this is what this is what we're starting at. Give it a little time, listen, try to understand it, start building in. You know what I mean? And it's an amazing process to see it kind of the idea birth and become something bigger, and then to see your kid like pass that on and hopefully be the future of what happens here. You know, part of the future of what happens here.
I got to see her play. You were there too. We had Max Cusin with the Gray, and then she was playing with the
Trash Puppies.
Yep. And so I got to see her perform, and just to see you there and seeing her play, it's a cool moment. And then Amplify 17, seeing y'all out at the Will Rogers Coliseum, and she was there playing with you that night. It just it seems like y'all have such an awesome music family relationship that is priceless. I mean,
it is great.
It really seems like something.
Yeah. It is. It's great. It's great to have that connection. I mean, if I was good at sports, you know, then that would have been cool too. You know, to have that, you know, like the dad who gets to throw a ball with their kid because they play baseball or they throw the football or whatever. But yeah, it's playing music and having your daughter actually get to create something as her part of and contribute to that. You know, it's great. But it's funny, we finally agreed only like after some of the last recordings we did, we're like, okay, Maddie has to be part of the band. She's on 3 of the 4 records we recorded, like, and when she's here, she plays and she sings with us. So she's got to be officially part of the band, even if she's part-time, you know, so. Yeah. You know, I got her official Dickies jumpsuit with her CTF brand on it, so that now it's official.
So where did that come from? Because I love y'all's uniforms.
Yeah.
You know, there was a few things that I pointed out last night to the people that were sitting with me watching you guys perform as the headliner. You know, we watched these other really talented musicians do their thing, and then you guys got up there and brought something that we hadn't seen yet.
Yeah.
And it's your stage performance, or presence, the uniforms that you guys have, and just the attention to the detail that you put into the show. You have music. The bands before you had music.
Yeah.
But y'all did something above and beyond anything else the other bands had done. And it's your stage presence. And
I appreciate
all
that.
the attention to the details.
Yeah.
Well, I had to bring that up because it's obvious that you're paying attention to it. So.
Yeah. It's funny with all the interviews I've done over time. Like, nobody's asked me about those, but you know, I had the idea when talking to the band. We were just talking about like it's more comes from a process of deduction, you know, where you're like, okay, no flip-flops. Right? Start with that.
Let's go there. No Hawaiian shirts. We're not Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I have worn a Hawaiian shirt. I did it one time but it was a tribute or a charity show, so it's
made sense. Yeah,
made sense at the time. But you know, like and then you know, no shorts. I don't know if you've ever seen musicians in shorts.
Happened last night.
My God, like musicians' legs, I don't know what happens to us. Like it's like an afterbirth defect. Like, it's just, I don't know what happens to legs. I'll never, I heard this rule by other people, but when I was in high school, I worked at the Four Seasons, and Iron Maiden was out, and they were there at the pool just hanging out, right? And they get the time probably in their 50s or whatever, and like they'd been playing tennis, and then they come over and they're in their little Speedo deals and everything like that, and I had to bring towels over, and it's like the whitest people I've ever seen and the most disgusting legs I've ever seen. I was just like, my God, like if like I'm not saying I point out people that are like, I would eat those legs if I was like on an island and had to survive. I'd roast those, but I would rather die. Like these are the most disgusting like legs I've ever seen in my life.
Your imagination works like mine does. That's weird that you would say it like that.
Yeah. It's not a wing not a wing stop kind of vibe they were putting out. You know.
Shit, man.
They weren't juicy at all.
But not just the uniforms, which are very, very cool, very very CTF.
Yeah.
But the throwing the guitar around and doing the dips with the instruments, and I mean, at one point you who's on keys?
Eric.
You gave Eric your guitar,
yeah,
and then you got in everybody's face, and you're singing to him like they're you're in love with them or whatever.
Right.
It was so much fun, and
that's awesome.
That's really what pulls things, sets people apart. And I noticed that with Max Cusin, the first time I saw him perform, is he put a lot of effort into that, and that's when the light bulb came on.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'd seen it before, but never really paid attention to it. But you guys really have some mastery up there with it. So
I feel like it doesn't matter how many people are there. I feel like we played the same show literally earlier in Dallas, and I was on acoustic guitar because I thought it was a smaller room. But to me, it's like if I leave a show and there's one person there or no people there, and it does matter to me like what I did, and that's it. And it's like I think it is hard to fight the urge as a musician to not reflect what appears sometimes as apathy. I'll give you a great example. Is we played House of Blues. We got to open for Flickerstick on the night, and it was funny because they were doing their 20-year anniversary of this album, right? Which is when I met them. So they were really good enough to, which is very rare in the music business, for them to think, I could get somebody who would help us draw or make more money, but instead I'm going to connect to the people who matter to me, and they did that. So I give them props for that, because they could have got anybody. They could have got anybody and not paid them a dime to play, because it was already sold out before they even announced that we were the opener. You know what I'm saying? So like when it sold out like 5 minutes after they opened tickets, like we still get to play, right? I mean, I know we were supposed to help bring in some people, but you don't need anybody. I get it. And that was just a guest list. But anyways. I remember looking out in the crowd, and like the crowd, the Flickerstick fans who really were the only reason that first show happened, is they just willed it into being. But so many of those fans connected to me afterwards, but it looked like they didn't know who we were. It looked like they didn't really care. Yeah. They cheered and all that stuff, but they didn't. It was just kind of like, okay, bring on Flickerstick. You're just thinking in your mind when you're the opener. Yeah, exactly. And I think I would say that was a huge learning lesson for me, because people's reaction and what's on their face, doesn't necessarily say. Now, then once you have fans, because we're equating that somehow if you're doing it right, then it's going to look like when I went to a concert for, I don't know, Nirvana or the Foo Fighters, when I already knew all their songs and they were already famous. If you're waiting for that reaction as a local musician the first time you play in front of people, you're missing
setting yourself up for failure. Yeah.
So play like they would have played to the audience that would react like that. Like, start it from the stage and be at from the stage, and don't compromise on that, and then see if it doesn't build the audience in a different way. Yeah.
Well, it shows, man.
Thanks.
And Taylor up and I don't want to harp on this too much, but it was just so funny. Like you said, there was a lot of complications. I mean, as far as moving pieces with the sound engineer, and I'm not getting into his shit or saying that he did a bad job, because the finished product came out great. He did a wonderful job, but there were some hiccups there for a minute. And you're watching Taylor, and I'm thinking about the whole day that y'all just had.
Yeah.
playing your ass off,
just beating him,
sweating it out.
And he'd been recording all day, by the way. He'd been in the studio all day recording.
And then y'all drive all the way across Texas to Fort Worth, and you're getting ready to go, man. Let's do this. Let's go. And Taylor's up there, and he's like a bull just waiting to come out to shoot. And and like at the moment where you thought everything was going to break, he just strummed on that beautiful guitar of his, and it sounded like an old Nova, just revving the engine or something. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, man, that is incredible.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that tension, y'all coming out the gate, and then looking at you comparing the mannerisms. And Sean is and he comes over and he's got his little, iPad or whatever, and he's adjusting or whatever, and you're just standing there and you're just strumming, and you've got this look of serene peace on your face. Yeah. And I mean the contrast was it was striking. Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, I think I've played so many shows where the sound is so bad that this doesn't even rank for me. We're not even on if the monitors aren't just making literally the feedback noise sound, then we're already better than 150 shows I've already played, And
that's what they're doing at that last moment, because they've already got the sound set for output, right? Yeah. Now they're just trying to hone in the monitor so you guys can hear
because
what's
we're in a different
on.
Configuration than the last band. It's like the keyboard player was over here, or there was no keyboard player. It's the steel player over here. So they've switched things out, trying to hurry up and fix that one. Yeah. So then they have to un-F that for us.
Right.
That's really what that was, is them trying to un-F it as quickly as possible. And, so I don't envy their job. I would never do their job. I would also never do band booking or do anything with managing bands. My God, what a shit show.
Well, it's hard enough just trying to get your band to practice, right? To coordinate each other's schedules and studio time.
Yeah, we do pretty good with it considering, but it's like I feel like I've been on the very lucky trajectory, because I hear way worse stories. It's like just not having someone who's just a full-on drug addict or a fall-down drunk all the time. Like, just having that is like, man, we've been winning. Like, we haven't had to deal with that. Damn, like, we can be, we're at the professional level where no matter how hungover we are or how trash my voice sounds, we'll figure out how to get it back in for the show or show up, and we're not going to not show up,
Do you have a show tonight, or is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Shadows of Jets have a show tonight. That's Taylor's band at Mass. So it's one of the last shows at Mass. Next weekend will be the absolute last weekend with Royal Sons on the 23rd. So it'll be the last show. But Shadows of Jets is playing, and it is rare that they play in Fort Worth, just because of him engineering and having a family down in Fredericksburg. He doesn't get up here as much. But yeah, you should definitely, if you can get out, you should go see it.
Are you going?
We're going to be there late, but I'm hoping to scoot in late. We had a commitment a little bit early, but now I'll be honest, since this will air afterwards, I'm going to fake COVID.
Dude, I want to, but I got this 106 fever.
Yeah. Is this allergies? Is it allergies?
I don't know.
I don't know why my voice sounds like this. It's getting worse. Just probably hay fever. Or should I just go?
No, just go. No, I'll be all right.
Then I'll just show up and pull my hat and sunglasses. Like, don't take my picture, please.
I'll wear a mask, I swear. No, Sean, stay home, Sean. So the 23rd,
yes,
y'all will be out there
That's week. Royal Sons. The last.
Aren't you playing
weekend.
with them?
I'm not playing with Royal Sons.
Oh, okay.
That's the last show, though. But that's the last show. So get out to Mass. The sound out there is, I still feel like it's for us as a loud band with that high ceiling and everything, and that high stage. It's the best stage for us. The best type stage. We haven't played the new Lolas yet. I'm absolutely looking forward to that. Playing the stage out there and seeing how that sounds.
And when is that?
That's going to be October 22nd.
Okay.
Playing with a band from New York called the Black Rabbit. Called Black Rabbit.
Make sure we put the bolo out for that and try to make it.
I expect Lola's to break the curse of that building and that space, and
they got it. They got it. I think it's already there. Have you caught a show out there yet?
I have.
Okay, it's great. Love it. I think they'll be fine. And I love the pit. Like it.
Me too.
Somebody brought that up on the previous episode. Like, why is that pit there? Well, if you break it down, you can have 100 people right in front of the band, and everybody on left, right, and center still has a clean view.
Yeah.
It's a great setup. I love it.
It's genius. I wonder when all this rain we got, if it flooded, though. That's what I do wonder. But
that's a good question. I had not thought of that, Sean.
As long as the stage is raised, though, then everybody else can just make it Woodstock down there. It's fine.
Yeah, just get real sloppy.
Mud sliding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Sean, thanks for doing this, man.
Man.
I know that I'm going to listen to this recording later, and I'm going to go, why did I not ask him this? Why didn't we talk about that? But this has been a really fun recording. Any chance we could do it again? Absolutely. Bring Taylor or Honey or anybody else?
Yeah, love to. All the follow-up questions once you post this, just like, I forgot to ask you this, and I'll answer in the bottom, okay?
Okay, that'll work.
And not in your bottom, in the bottom in the text.
All right, we got to get Sean another whiskey before he falls over. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Fort Worth Roots or listening to us, whatever you're doing. We will see you next week. Bye. A huge thank you to our new friend Sean Russell from the Cut Throat Finches for being on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. You can find them on Facebook very easily. I don't know that there's another CTF out there, Cut Throat Finches. Their next show is going to be up in OKC at Beer City with Flickerstick. That's going to be dope. I know that I probably will not be making that. Probably. You can find their information on Facebook, Instagram, all the stuff. Just look for Cut Throat Finches, easy to dig up. And I'll have their information in the show notes for you. Man, excellent episode. And here in just a minute, you're going to get to hear Sean play live at the ISIS Theater for us on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. And then right after that, we roll into 2 tracks that he provided for us. Let's see. The first one is a song recorded live at Mass called Bad Habit. The second one is 2 Stars. And then we've got 2 music videos. If you're not watching it on YouTube, you might want to check that out. This is a pretty dope episode to watch visually. So check that out. Sponsors, Roofing Solutions by Darren Hauk. Go to roofingsolutionshauk.com, 817-882-6520. They will give you 50% off on a roofing tune-up just by mentioning the show. Woodpost Metalworks is at woodpostmetalworks.com. Easy to remember. Podcast 817 is the code to use at checkout for 10% off. Hauk Walker Originals. Go to haukwalker.com and see all of their original gift ideas that will be perfect for this upcoming gift-giving season. They do a lot of really cool personalized custom stuff. They even did the laser etching for the tumblers that we gave away at our most recent event. Very cool stuff. Go check them out. Hauk Walker Originals can be found at haukwalker.com. Springfest car show. We did one last year. We were invited out to that. That is going down, April 22nd of this upcoming year. That is the River Oaks Springfest car show. Last year was incredible. This year is going to be more awesomer. You're going to want to check that out. Again, our Facebook page is loaded with information like this, so if you'd like to stay up to date, find us on social media. Like I keep telling you, Facebook is probably the best option for the most amount of information, but whatever social media platform you use that you like to get your information from, follow us there. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as Fort Worth Roots. Easy to remember. Okay. I think that's it. If I forgot anything, I'll put it in the show notes. Oh, one last thing. I've got a guy for Christmas lights, residential and commercial. This gentleman has an out-of-town number, but he is local, so don't let that fool you. It's 325-232-4183. And currently he's not offering any kind of incentive or discount, probably because he's booked out the wazoo. So get to him before he has 0 spots left. That's a situation that you run into the later you get in the year. We had a lot of people move into town from out of town recently. So this is one of those services that's kind of hard to find. So give him a call. I know this guy personally, does a great job, knows what he's doing, been doing it for years. 325-232-4183. And no, he is not a sponsor, and he doesn't even know that I'm shouting out his information. But want to support him. He's very passionate about what he does, and good dude. So blow his mind. Tell him that you heard about it on the Fort Worth Roots, and he's going to be like, huh? What? Really? That's awesome. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for being here. We're going to keep this thing rolling, and I'm trying to come up with awesome ideas to make Fort Worth Roots more fun for the community and engage with people more directly. Lots of ideas, and I just don't have enough time in the day. But you know what would help? A little bit of support. You can support us by going to patreon.com. It's patreon.com. Type Fort Worth Roots into the search bar, and it pulls right up. And you can support the show for $4 a month. There's another option on there if you'd like the entire back catalog for all of our episodes. What I do is when I sit down to edit, I chop things up to make the episode shorter and flow better and all that good stuff. But there are hours of content that you've never heard of, had a chance to listen to, because I edit and I make sure that it's a little more streamlined. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not trying to change the tempo of the show or the information, but I do just kind of try to trim it up and streamline it for you. Some episodes, not so much, but some episodes are missing a couple hours of content. So anyway, what am I talking about? On the Patreon app, if you sign up for the second tier, which is $9 a month, we give you something a little extra. We make sure that we give you the entire back catalog with no editing. So you can go in there. If there's an episode where maybe you're smart, you understand editing and that entire process, and you're going, hey, wait a minute, there was an edit there. I wonder what they were talking about. You can go to the back catalog and pull that episode up and see exactly what it was that I edited out. Edited? Something like that. Anyway, I don't need your money. We can do this without you, okay? And I appreciate you listening, and this is not a shakedown, all right? But with that being said, the Roadcaster, it's getting old. We need a new one. And we're doing stuff. We're building a studio over here just outside of downtown Fort Worth. We've got the mobile podcast studio that we're trying to put together. And we want to put more events on for you. So anyway, if you'd like to help us grow this show, it would be very well received, very appreciated. Angela Hauk, thank you for your support. Stephanie Daniels, thank you for your support. And whenever we get some more Patreons on our Patreon account, we'll be talking about them too. And we can grow this thing together. Cool beans. Okay. But I always like to close out anytime I say something like that. Simply thank you for listening to the show. You do not owe me anything, and we will continue to do this no matter what. The reason that we do ask for funds is because we could do a lot more cooler stuff. We can get there a lot quicker. So, all right, that's enough panhandling out of me. Thank y'all for listening to the show. I don't think I forgot anything. If I did, I'll put it in the show notes. And one last time, Sean Russell, thank you for being on the show. We are at your disposal. Anytime you and the band would like to come hang out, maybe it's just you and Honey, however you want to break it down, you're welcome here at our studio any old time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you very much, and we will see you next week. Peace. And I played it quite well, lost every person there.
gave a damn except you. Nobody ever gave a damn quite like you. I found the bottom of a bottle, found the back of an empty spoon. Every high became a new low. I did everything but call out to you, and I never wanna see you again. No, I never wanna see you again. I lost the reasons I started, and I don't think I could handle it. Every book has an ending. The best page is well worn. This old story was ending, but a new story had begun. I believe a better world is yet to come. I found the bottom of a bottle, found the back of an empty spoon. Every high became a new low. I did everything but call out to you, and I can't wait to see how it ends. But maybe I can handle it. If I could just see how big true love can be, maybe I could feel complete. If I could just see how big true love can be, maybe I will feel complete. 'Cause we're all on pages. We are all on pages. Amen.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Did that hurt?
Song 2? I didn't hurt nothing.
I mean, there was only a few times when your voice broke. I'm gonna have to put in a disclaimer like, "Hey, folks, give him a break."
It's just going through puberty.
You want to do one more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. All right, let's make it work. Let's make it count. New rabbits. She can turn broken guitar strings into bracelets, bottle caps into collections, and broken hearts into brave love songs. She saves every moment in the picture, every fading ray of sunshine, and she won't save the rabbit from the stew. Yeah, she won't save the rabbit from the stew. She sees the world in a way that I've forgotten or ignored. She sees the man that I don't see. She sets the distance that tomorrow I will be. She believes I'll be younger in a year. Every next kiss is a first, and then dancing to songs I'll never hear. She makes me dance to songs I'll never hear. She but it's not. And then I do this.
She says, don't you leave without a kiss, 'cause today at work I'll miss every moment that together might have been. Every moment is the life I could have lived.
Too awesome. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Alone
every star will learn to recognize your face. When morning breaks, I'll be floating above the atmosphere. Make no mistake, I'm coming home to you, my dear. Above the rain, I'll find a place, and the stars will hear my heart whisper your name, and every star will learn to recognize your face. Kissed your cheek as you sleep, be at peace, quiet your fears. Above the rain, I'll find a place, and the stars will hear my heart whisper your name. Don't be afraid, nothing has changed, and every star will learn to recognize your face. Am I alone here? Am I just a rabbit running out of habit? Will I grow old here? Are these habits desperate and savage? Lost the intention, and I can't remember reasons for the shadow season. Sometimes I push too far. I'll go fight a battle just to show that I won't rattle. You tried to warn me to take it slow, but I haven't learned that lesson yet. You're my favorite bad habit, habit, habit. 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 What betrays reason, and the medicine you're drinking dumb quiet demons. Luck is a falling star, unpredictable patterns, it always leaves you to burn. You tried to warn me to take it slow, but I haven't learned my lesson yet. You're my favorite bad habit, habit, habit. 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 compelled to change the world, but afraid to change your mind. Afraid to change your mind. Compelled to change the world, but afraid to change your mind. Afraid to change your mind. Compelled to change your world, but afraid to change your mind. Compelled to change your world, but afraid to change your mind. You're my favorite, you're my favorite, you're my favorite bad habit, habit, habit. 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 We ended right in front of the original faux home. I don't believe in polite conversation. Everybody wants to get in a fight, fight, fight to prove they're right. Entitlement is the new true religion. We're the product of apathy and lies, lies, lies. You should give it a try. This is a new age. Everybody gets to be right. Not that ways. Take a swing. Just make sure that I go down for the count. 'Cause if this is a new age, baby, you can count me out. Can you feel the growing consternation, reaching out and trying to take us in?